Hello, this is a cosmic grown conversation with me alone, Tina, in the hospital while my daughter is delivering a baby through cesarian. So we are going to revisit reincarnation this week, and Marie is slumming it down the dog sanctuary for me, feeding the dogs and poo picking and doing stuff while I am here in the toilet of the hospital. So we hope you enjoy this old one, which I think fits quite well, as bringing life into this world is wonderful. And I've had personal experiences with reincarnation with my own children. So enjoy the podcast.
Welcome everyone to another cosmic conversation with Tina
And Marie.
That's right. I don't know who's who, but no, thank you for joining us this week. And this week we are going to talk about reincarnation. And well, basically, from what I know, is when you die, your soul returns, and this can happen multiple times. And we'll go through a lot more detail as we go on with this conversation. And we are a location podcast, so we're here in the little village where I live, and you will hear the birds, you will hear a tractor going by. So stay with us for our conversation, what we normally have on an everyday basis. So Tina, do you believe in reincarnation?
This one, I have to say, a definitely yes, because I've had experiences of which we'll talk about later, at least 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we are here on Earth to learn.
About what?
Compassion, love.
Understanding, maybe?
It's having human emotions, I think. This body is an avatar.
Right.
It? So we're a soul inside.
I sort of believe
hosting
in that.
This body.
You know me, on the fence most of the time. Yeah.
So, like,
I'm just looking in my notes.
Yeah, what you believe in, or what you do in this life, determines what you do in the next life, which is a bit like what we was talking about with karma, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we do have a choice. I think we are the gods. We decide where we're going and what we're doing. That's why I didn't believe in karma.
Right.
Because I know through experience that families tend to return to the same family because they miss somebody.
All right. Okay. Well, it's not always the case, though, is it? Because somebody who... what I've read and what I saw is, like, you know, a child, and we'll go on about that in a bit, about our ages when it comes to you or when it leaves you and things like that I've learned. Some people like talking about an Egyptian time or the war, you know, the First World War. So it's not always the case that they come back to the same family.
No, it's not. But then you hear a lot of people saying that they were famous people before. And I think that's like...
Yeah, why does it always have to be...
No, it's not, is it? It's like people saying their
Can't
spirit guides were Indian.
Yeah, why can't you be Fred from down the mine or something, you know,
Yeah.
which that does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have got a famous... I'm saying that, yeah. So I have got a famous connection, which is not a good one. It was Jack the Ripper, but I wasn't Jack the Ripper. But I know that it was true because of everything I was told and just the leading up to it by a lady who did a reading for me.
All right.
Via the cards and clairvoyancy, but we'll go into that later on. Another thing is we don't remember. Children do, I think, because children are dreamers, aren't they? They're still connected, especially babies. You know, when you look into a baby's eyes, and some people say, oh, look, they're wise.
Would you say they were more innocent and receptive, not so much dreamers?
Yeah, that's the word, yeah. I mean, if we remembered we were a murderer in a past life,
Yeah. We got flies.
you would never be able to live with that as a normal person in your next life, would you? So that's why we don't remember.
I disagree.
Why?
Because, again, I can't, like, say it's in a book or something. It's just what I've read, and I haven't got any reference.
Yeah.
Is, yes, somebody could have been a very, very evil person.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they can deal with it in this life. I'm just saying it happens.
But do you know then of anyone who remembers a past life being a murderer?
I don't know anybody apart from you.
Because
That's what I'm saying.
Special.
Because you're a special person, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I haven't got the experience of feeling that. The only thing that I can say that my experience is, I can meet someone and I immediately know who they are.
Yeah, that's one instance. Deja vu is another instance.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of, not that I've met them before.
Yeah, but there's a sense. There's something that tells you.
Do you know what? I can tell somebody who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. And you can say, well, we all have that. We all have a feeling. But I can actually pick up on how they're going to treat somebody else.
That could be a bit empathic. Yeah.
And I know conversations that are going to occur. I know words that are going to be said from meeting somebody. I get their vocabulary, how they interact with people. And I can tell you what that person, if somebody said to me, oh, Fred, another Fred, Fred had had to go at me the other day. And I went, did he say this? Did he say that? Did he put it like this? And I go, whoa, yeah. Actually, that is what they said. Yeah. Nearly word for word. And I'll go, yeah. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how else to describe that. So, am I reincarnated as somebody?
Or somebody they knew?
How would that connect? A lot.
How would that connect with reincarnation?
But that's what I'm asking you. Is that anything, or is that for another podcast on another day?
I would say that's more you're either like empathic, picking up on other people's emotions.
Yeah.
Or you're connecting with.
Was I somebody that was a medium in another life?
No, that's something else. See, I can do your past life. We'll have to do that. I do past life readings with the tarot. I started that years ago myself by accident. I usually, you lay the cards from right to left because it's the way the sun rises and sets. Okay. But I did a reading once and accidentally done it backwards. And then straight away in my head, I started seeing things that weren't connected to this person's life. And I just knew, and it came through, that I was doing this woman's past life.
Wow.
And that's how I started doing past life with tarot. Myself, I've done it through meditation mainly and picked up stuff. But this is after all the connections that I've had. And if you want to talk about that next, we can talk about that next.
Well, it's our conversation. You talk about what you want to talk about.
Okay, so we will talk about Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, carry on.
So, you know me, I'm an East Ender. Yeah, you can tell by my accent. I'm sure you can. Yeah. Yeah. A real East Ender. Yeah. So, I was born into a poor family. In the proper East End, like Bow Bells, where, like, the song.
Yeah.
And Jack the Ripper, where he murdered, was where I got married. Oh God, going back, I was 23 when I got married. I originally lived in Hackney and then moved to Whitechapel, where Jack the Ripper, did his thing. And it was a place I really hated.
Yeah,
she turns the
I'm
page.
Just looking at notes.
Yeah. It was a place I really wasn't happy moving to, but it was where I got married to, and it was where the family lived, and we settled in Whitechapel. Years later, I had a baby, and I was one day sitting with her. She was a very hungry baby, feeding her in the bedroom. My husband at the time and his cousin came in, and they awoke me. I must have dozed off because they awoke me. But first I heard a bang, and then I got up to get some more milk for the baby, and they were both sitting on the floor we had like a couple of samurai swords sitting on the wall, and they were shaking like a leaf, 2 grown men. I said, what's the matter? And I was half asleep. They said, Jack the Ripper's at the window, and I laughed. And later on, before that, I heard a bang bang on the window, and he said he tapped on the window. I just shrugged it off. But then obviously over time things sort of connected, and I went to a medium come tarot reader, and she said that I was Jack the Ripper's victim. And I've been drawn to Whitechapel because people are drawn to, even though it was a violent ending, people are drawn to their past.
Do you think,
so, you know,
are they drawn there because it's going to change? Why would you want to relive it?
Because you don't remember, but there's something that must click in your brain that I knew maybe I had to overcome it.
Yeah.
You know, and I went to Whitechapel. It was a place I hated, and for good reason. Now I know it wasn't nothing particular because
what was your ex-husband and the cousin?
So what they actually saw him. They said, and where we were living, it was literally seconds away from where the murders took place. We lived at the back of the famous London hospital where the Elephant Man lived, didn't he, at the top? It's all been pulled down
John
now. That's the one, yeah. And there was a lot of connections, actually, yeah. So that was one. They said they saw him and he thought he'd hit someone driving in late at night. And he said this figure stood up in front of the car headlights with, you know how they explain it, the Sandman, I say, with the hat, the long cloak, and it ran off through the fence like a ghost. And then they said later on it was looking at them through the window. Well, I sort of shrugged it off, you know. Anyway, this psychic lady said, yeah, I was drawn back to Whitechapel because of this. And she never knew me at all. She never knew I was from living in Whitechapel, and she was the one that said it. Obviously she can hear my accent, but she didn't know anything about Whitechapel. And the other thing that connected was I don't anymore, yet there's a tractor going by. I had a fear of knives.
Oh, right.
And it would just
make
me cringe. Should we wait for this tractor to go by?
No, just keep talking. No, it'd be really good for somebody who's listening, if they don't have a background on Jack the Ripper and how things occurred, how he done what he did, because then that would really like encapsulate what you are saying, because not everybody
knows you know
who Jack the Ripper is.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah. He was a murderer in the 19th century. It was like 1800s.
And there's a lot of speculation
who murdered prostitutes.
It was and everything. Yeah.
I could tell you. And yes, I think he was connected to
the royal family. Yeah.
And obviously some sort of the Masons.
It
was
protected.
A group. It wasn't just one person. It was more than one. Yeah.
Yeah, but
so saying that, you know, phobias that people have, it could be connected to a past life and maybe a traumatic death.
Like, so example straight off I can think about is fear of water.
Exactly.
Somebody could have drowned.
Yeah.
You know, fear of sometimes. You know, it just could be you don't like it, but I'm absolutely petrified being in a car when I'm not driving. Now you could explain that it's just because I'm not in control of the vehicle.
Yeah.
But maybe I was a passenger.
Exactly.
In a past life, and I was, because I do get quite. Yeah, very scared.
It's the emotions that come with that fear, isn't it?
I get, like, my head hurts, my eyes start to ache, my body sort of freezes.
Yeah, that is like a phobia.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen you going up the mountain. Maybe you went over a mountain. You know, your car
I'm
went
scared of
over.
heights as well, but
Yeah, maybe your car went up a mountain and went over, but you weren't driving.
I don't think they're related. That I think I have a fear.
Yeah, a separate fear.
Yeah, a separate fear. Yeah. So if you are believing in reincarnation, then that could be another life.
Going back to Jack the Ripper, I just want to mention that I went to see a Jack the Ripper exhibition, and it was just by chance. And as I walked in, it was just this dread. I just looked at the stuff. There was a boot there. There was letters, you know, all the evidence that was collected.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel cold and sick, literally. It was vile. And I knew my name was Sarah something. I can't remember now, because it's a long time ago since I did my own sort of past life regression into it, because I had to get over that, knowing, like, I could literally feel, you know, being stabbed to death. It was horrible. It was vile, and I forgot about it now because it's a long time ago that I've got over it. And another instance was, I used to work in Madden Two Swords. Years ago, and we had to walk through the Chamber of Horrors to get to where I was working, and every morning I would go through this.
Did you run?
I ran, and it was like you went down these steps, and it's a reconstructed like the last Jack the Ripper victim, and of course it was where I lived. I had to go home to that at the end of the day. I had to go home to living around the corner. Those railings are still there. Well, they were. I mean, I've lived here now in Cyprus, obviously. But I married and divorced there. So I'm glad I've left that behind now. But
to back you up, 2 people were saying that somebody resembling Jack the Ripper, you know, the image that's been given, and knocked on the window. You know what I mean? 2 people.
Yeah.
Would you say would be skeptics?
Yes.
To get me?
Yeah.
So
my ex-husband never believed in ghosts. He never believed in anything I did with the tarot. And the thing is, like I said, with trauma, and that date must have been a significant date. It was April. And there were more victims. There wasn't just the ones that you see on TV, and I was one of those. There were more. And that date, I reckon, that he came, it was because he remembered, and I remembered, you know, that at that point. Yeah. And it was a strange way how we actually got that flag, so it wasn't meant for us.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, anyway, end that story.
Well, what I was going to say is as well, so you've said about, that brings me on to people who say they've had past life, you know, reincarnation in this world now. But we sort of started on it about, like, saying they were big, important people.
Yeah.
Do you think there are frauds within?
Well, I'm sure there are. Or they just believe it, don't they? They believe it that much that it turns into a lie.
I mean, how rude am I to say that people are not, that isn't happening for people, that didn't happen for them. You know, they were somebody in another life.
Yeah, that's the thing, where any type of thing like this, like Amityville, Annabelle, you don't like horror films and that, do you? But they've all been proved that they was just
made up,
done for money and
yeah. Well,
fame.
you know, my sort of stand with us having any conversation in the car, on here, on the podcast, is I do question things. I sort of go to but what if that ain't true? And what if, you know, how can you tell me, how can you prove to me that this is real? Reincarnation is real. How can you?
Well, nobody can. I just know myself with my own experiences and there's another one.
Yeah.
The American West.
Yeah.
Which is really strange because Jack the Ripper, as I remember. Now, like I said, this has just brought stuff up that I haven't spoke about for years and years and years, and I have forgotten. But, to put a rough date on it, it was about 1888. But at the same time, I remember a past life in the American West. Now, as we are all part of one, and if you look at time as really not existing, time is not linear. There's not a past, a present, and a future. It's like a CD. You can rewind and go back, and you can be in multiple places at multiple times. So it would make sense, and I couldn't get over that, but it must be true because I know both of those are so real in my head. So this cowboy one, when I was a child, I did history as a major, and I chose to do the American West. When I was 14, I had my first horse. Being from London, East London, for some reason, when I broke my horse in, I bought Western saddle and broke him to Western.
Hang on, I'm going to pick you up. You did tell me there's a difference. So there's nice shiny saddles.
English saddles and Western cowboy style.
So you were drawn to that Western saddle?
Never even thought about doing it the English way. It just happened, and I just knew how to break the horse in. So
hang on. I am going to pick you up on it. You chose the cowboy saddle.
Yeah,
the Western saddle, and you put it on a horse and you went off.
Into the sunset.
No, yeah. No, it's not that. It's just that you've just skipped to me. I got the saddle, chose it, and I broke a horse in. Well, how the hell did you know how to do that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It just came naturally. I mean, that's another thing, I rescue dogs, but it's just a natural thing. I love animals, compassionate. Dogs and horses. Horses has always been a big thing in my life. My mum thought it was a 5-minute wonder, and it wasn't. I've still got horses now.
This is what I'm trying to pick up on, is that because of your past life, that you believe that you were in the West.
Yeah.
You have those without question, without looking anything up. You felt that energy, if I can say the energy, it was
my passion, and I carried it through.
But I remember a conversation I was having. But somebody asked, "How do you do that? How do you know how to do that? Break the horse in and all that?"
Then you see children playing piano and picking it up easy.
So that's what
playing
I'm trying
Beethoven at 5 years old.
What I'm saying is, you're not describing why you felt you could do that.
Right, so going back to all these instances that brought me to knowing that I've had this past life, When I was 14, I was at school and I chose history, did the American West. I used to love the library. I don't know about you, but I love the smell of a new book. Always been like that as a kid. Always loved new books, and every day I'd go into the school library. Well, I'd picked up this one book, and it was about the American West, because obviously I was researching for my history. And at the same time, I was breaking in my own horse. So it was all this interest. And I found this book, and I opened it up, and it was all black and white photographs. And straight away, boom, I knew the man in the photograph. I knew his name was Sam. I knew his life. And I knew I was at the time when that picture was taken. I was in the background. So...
Did you actually see yourself in the background?
No. How can I... No.
No, you mean behind
the camera. Yeah, right. Sorry. Yeah. He actually asked me to come in, and what it was... He was a cattle driver from Texas and to backwards and forwards to wherever it was we were. My dad was a livery owner. He used to bring the cattle in, livery the horse at the stables, and then they would go for a drink at the saloon bar, the group, and he was in charge of it. and I had a fling with him as a young girl. Well, from what I remember, my mum died at birth and my dad brought me up, and we never had much of a relationship. He was a businessman, you know, and I was brought up with horses, obviously. So they were second nature to me then. I had a fling with him. I got pregnant, had a child. And when my dad died, I took over the business, which was, you know, quite a big thing for a woman to take over that. He used to shoe horses
that
as
would
well.
explain your
You
natural
know, so I didn't have a
instinct to
good
do stuff, yeah.
relationship with my daughter. He ended up buying a property after he retired, and the daughter went to live with him. So we had a bit of a strange relationship, you know. With all this, I was already into meditation, so I'd already, at 14 years old, I'd already known my spirit guide and went into past life, into meditation, and that's how I got the story of everything. And it just all fitted into place. How, you know, I'd been interested in horses and the American West, and why I chose the American West to do for history. It was just a natural progress.
Did you ever look into your name? You said you knew the man's name.
No.
You know your name, so you could. I mean, that's, yeah. I'll give you some homework. No, but do you know what I mean? It's like, well, you know his name. Did you know the area? I'm not trying to.
I could
pick
go
at
back,
your
yeah,
story.
but again, it's something that I've let go.
Oh, okay. Then.
I think with past lives, if you do find out, you need to be able to just let go and carry on with this life.
Well, there was.
Because I through this life, because I always forget stuff.
I was just going to say that there are instances where people have been somebody of the past. There was a lady. Oh, do you know what? I get really annoyed with myself because I haven't wrote it down. I haven't.
Slapped wrist.
Well, yeah. There was a lady that said she was from like the era of Tutankhamun, and she said there was a chamber underneath when she was a young girl. She'd never been there before.
Yeah.
To Egypt or anything, and she gave him a lot of information.
Yeah.
And she really knew a lot people's names and everything like that, and they never believed her. But then they started to, basically, cut a long story short, and she was quite a famous. Do you know what?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, she went into learning hieroglyphics.
That's it.
She was working in a museum or something.
That goes on to languages. People who actually can read, they sort of understand another language.
Yeah.
Or they pick up a language very easy. Some people could say, well, some people are good learners. Some people are photogenic with their learning and all that. But why are you? What was you before? Do you know what I mean?
So do you believe in reincarnation?
I do a little bit. I do from my own perspective. Like thinking that, why do I know certain things? So I would say that, yeah, I suppose if I put my money on it, I need some more info. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Should I just put me cards on the table and say, yeah, probably do. But I've got so many things to say. There was a boy in America who was reincarnated of a man called Sonny Ray. He was a musician, and he told his parents that he wanted... I'm sorry, I can't remember his original name, maybe Michael or something, but he wanted to be called Sonny. He told his parents that he was this musician. He told them that he had a wife and where they lived. And
how old was he?
Oh, by,
Toddler.
3, 4. Yeah, this is what's bringing me up to a certain thing is they say, I've heard and read that, let me stop a minute, that it's only for a certain amount of time when a child is little that they're receptive to all reincarnation. So leave that there, just park that there a minute. And this child just didn't give up on it. And basically, the dad met the wife of Sonny Ray, who had passed, in an educational environment. They brought the kid to meet the lady, and he didn't recognise the house, but he didn't recognise it because that she'd moved. And when they met, there was an instant connection, and he was only a young lad. But then he carried on, thinking he was Sonny Ray. But you just said to me that you thought, you know, in your reincarnation you were this, at one time you were that. But this story is that he carried on being that person. Now that worries me.
Yeah.
That worries me, because that child was born of these two people. And let's just say, I've got probably the name wrong. Let's say his name's Michael. It could be another Fred. But no, his name's Michael. But he continued to live the life, and when he was old enough, he went and lived with the lady. I find that absolutely
strange.
Weird. And don't you think that crimes can be solved? Do you know what I mean? If you knew, if your memory of being a victim of Jack the Ripper, can't you say what the person looked like?
Yeah.
But
I didn't see his face. No.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to pick at you, and I'm not trying to be like clever.
But yeah, you could.
But
yeah.
do you know what I mean? I'm sure that there's crimes. Do you know what I mean? Where people have had like closure because there was a reincarnation of somebody, and they said the weapon's there, or I was killed by this person, or something like that. I mean, pointing out landmarks, isn't it? I've said about a house. People have an association with areas, like you said. And I'm coming back to it, about Whitechapel. And they can describe ancient worlds, even not streets. I mean, that's not an ancient world. You didn't have like a cul-de-sac, you know what I mean, in ancient worlds. But you've never been somewhere. You've never been to that part of the world. You can feel the air.
Sometimes there's an urge to go somewhere, to holiday somewhere.
And you think you've been there before.
Yeah.
You know.
Where it feels like home.
I don't know about that. I've never felt that. But there is a place going on about like children and that. I did watch something not so long ago. I don't know if it's still going. I'm not sure. But there's a place in Nevada that has a group. I think it's called Earth Angels. It's a sanctuary learning centre.
Yeah.
And for children who have, you know, think that they are somebody else, or they have somebody else with them, guiding them, or they actually are that person, and they feel very, I suppose you might feel like people don't believe you, and you feel alone, and you can't talk to somebody else, even though your parents might be going, there, Sally, you know, don't worry, I'm listening to you. But they feel they need to express some more, that this place, this sanctuary learning centre, they have a gathering of families, so you have a sense of community.
Yeah, someone else to talk to in the same situation.
So that's got to be a positive thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's Nevada, and I'm sure that there's other places around the world, well, I hope there is, that could help people like that.
And that's saying we all come back as human beings.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about.
Yeah. I always mention our friends that passed away, because he went to the spiritual church, and I'm not sure if he was Christian, but he always said, oh no, we come back as humans. But I actually can remember, through meditation again, of being a wolf, or even being a tree, and maybe the soul progresses from animal, like plant, to animal to human, because of the brain intelligence.
All right, so you just said progression. I just mean a change. I would say a change, because who's to say that a tree is not as good as a human?
Yeah.
You know
I don't believe in hierarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you are very attuned with nature.
Yeah.
You
True.
are very attuned.
Well, look at my connection to dogs. Is that because, do you know, when I was a child, I used to lay, our first dog, I think we had when I was about 10 years old, I used to sleep in the dog's bed, and I used to walk on all fours like I was a dog when I was, you know, a few years old, and pretend I was a dog and put like a belt round my neck and you know, and pretend I was like walking myself, and ask my mum, and I would sit there and put my paw on my mum's lap.
But don't
very
kids
weird.
do that anyway as a
I
play?
don't know. I was
As
an
a
only
playful
child.
thing to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I
I
mean?
don't know. Am I the only one, or did other people do that? There's adults now that like dressing up like
Yeah.
animals and being like animals.
That's
no,
another story,
No, I
love.
think I've outgrown
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
in childhood.
Yeah, but you know, I'm always asking questions, and you know that I'm not. I'm sort of dissecting sort of things that you say to understand, to explain, and I do get it. I mean, we might have a good feeling of being a dog, you know, pretending. I can remember doing it myself, being a horse.
Yeah,
You know,
me
trotting
too.
along.
Yeah.
You know, with your hands like I'm
Yeah,
doing now.
yeah.
You know, and because you can be attuned with an animal, you can be impressed by an animal. You want to feel what it's like to be that small. There's lots of
Yeah.
people that would make explanations for why you did it. Doesn't mean you were a dog.
But then also other planets, not necessarily of this earth. You could be reincarnated somewhere else. Yeah. Another planet, like another solar system, a completely different being.
Is that why people were good at robotics in the 80s?
Yeah.
I know, but you know what I mean. I mean, people are very serious about these things, and
Yeah.
I am. But if I had to be serious all the time, I think I'd be very. I don't know how I'd cope. Oh, that's the question. What I'm going to ask, right? Can you be an object, like a computer?
It's not a sentient being, is it? I
What do
would
you mean?
say no. It's not
No.
alive.
Okay. So no, I'm leading
You know,
up to something.
I mean, you're talking about AI, and then
but that's
there's
now.
no soul. Yeah.
Right, that's not
Yeah.
right. What I'm trying to say is, you know, like with autism
Yeah.
and people and fantastic super duper brainy people who are on level on spectrums, but they haven't got maybe social skills.
Yeah.
Where were they from? Do you know what I mean?
Is that a human defect, though?
I don't know about a defect, but it could be that you're from another planet and you don't know how to interact with human beings.
Maybe, yeah. I think you choose, like I said before, you choose where you go if you want to go
I
back
find
to
that
the
hard
same
to
family.
believe that.
Because we're going on to the third story now with my son.
But can we just finish that though?
Yeah.
That I don't believe that you choose sometimes. I think if you're asking me to believe, you know, or do I have an inkling that this could be happening, why would you? I don't know.
You're saying then there's a higher power that chooses your life for you. See, I don't believe that. I believe we are the gods and we choose. And we choose because why would we go into a life that we know we're going to starve? Because we're going to learn about
It is hard
compassion
concept to take on, that you choose to
suffer.
yeah
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think somebody listening might go, well, you wouldn't choose to
But as a sentient being, you remember
do that.
if we're not on this planet, we're off it. As in, if we're dead, we're on a different vibration, different frequency. Sorry, not vibration, different frequency.
Yeah.
So we're not human. We're not in a human body. We don't think like a human. I've gone back and, or I've had out of body experiences, and I've been floating around in space, and it's really strange because I didn't feel anything, any human emotion. So maybe that's what we're going back to learn, how humans
Interesting,
work,
yeah.
and the 3D world.
Yeah, I was just trying to say, like, you know, that we've been talking about, like, yourself and learning from your stories, of which we're going to talk about your son in a minute. But you're talking about people who are able to communicate verbally, artistically, things like that. And I don't know if it's another story for another day, but it's like I have questions. What you're saying is making sense to me.
Yeah.
But I have questions of people who may not have the ability to move their muscles, who are wheelchair bound, not from an accident,
Yeah.
but
Birth.
have been born, yeah. And you know, congenitally, maybe deaf-blind. Their communication. And you know what? Sometimes, because I have a background in deaf-blindness, is that I learnt so much about communication through people that I have supported. Why were they in a position where they couldn't verbally talk to me? They couldn't, you know, see, I know you're frowning, but it's just about...
I'm trying to understand, but...
Okay, then, so I'm talking to you and I'm telling you I had a reincarnation. What about somebody who can't tell you? And they're telling you through another piece of communication.
Right, I get you.
Am I right? Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wonder if that's happening. I wonder if frustration for people who may not be able to formally, let's say, communicate, that they have these feelings, these thoughts. I bet it's very frustrating for them.
Must be, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or even, you know, being told that you need therapy.
And you're inside going, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I just need to tell you I'm okay. And that comes out in frustration.
And
That
what
comes
makes
out.
it like a fault that we do remember, that some people do and some people don't.
That's, you know, that is something that somebody could say, no, I ain't got a clue.
Yeah,
No?
I think like the traumatic death experiences would certainly, you would carry something into the next
Or
life.
if you have had past lives, if you have had traumatising situations or very normal situations, what if you're just not receptive? You just don't know that's happened. Are you telling me every single person knows that they've had a past life?
No, really, that nobody should know.
Right.
Can you imagine the trauma of knowing, you know, if you was in Hitler's army and you killed thousands of Jews? Actually, there's a book. There's a Dr. Joel Witten who has studied life after death and life between life, reincarnation, and he does it past life regressions. And there was...
Is that the psychotherapist?
I don't know what he's just...
psychotherapist?
I don't know. I just know him as Dr. Joel Witten. There's a lot of books he's got. They're worth a read. And there's a lot of case studies. And one of them was, he's a Jew in this life, but in his past life,
Is that why
he
you've
was
mentioned that
persecuting
before?
the Jews, so now he is a Jew. And that was a choice, experiencing the flip side.
So, did your son have a choice?
Right, my ex-mother-in-law's uncle died, and he came to me in an alpha state, when you're half awake, half asleep, just as you're dozing off. I saw him at the end of the bed, and he said, I would like your permission to come back as your son. And I said, yes. He said, I miss the family, you know, I want to be around. I said, it's fine.
Yeah.
And the next day or a couple of days later, we actually went out for a meal and I had double portions. And my mother-in-law said to me, you're not pregnant, are you? And I laughed. And a couple of weeks later, yep, I was pregnant. And I had a son. The thing was, he was very ill. Oh, actually, he said, the uncle, in the vision, if you want to call it a vision, he said, I said, how will I know that it's you? And he just said to me, a star is born.
Sorry.
And that was it. So when Bradley was born, he was very ill. And, you know, you get all the congratulation cards. I left them. I didn't open them. And I told my mother-in-law the story. And one day she came round to help me clean because I was really tired and, you know, looking after a sick baby. She opened up all the cards and then she said, oh wow, look at this. It was a card with the words on it, a star is born.
Wow. Who from? You remember?
There was 2 cards actually exactly the same. One was from my family and one was from her sister. We'd not told anybody about this. Nobody. Yeah. So that was just like a revelation for me. And as he grew up, he was at the ex's house, and the photographs, there was framed photographs, and when he was just learning to walk, he waddled straight over to the photograph, picked it up and went and cuddled it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does he remember anything now?
No, nothing at all.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Remember, I keep saying
nothing
to you before about
I've told him.
Yeah, how long is it? Because it seems like people say, between, let's say for argument's sake, 3 and 6.
Yeah.
But then there's people that go from 2, 3 and carry it on.
Yeah.
So would you say that entity, that past life, whatever it is, can be strong in people and then and want to stay around, want to dominate that person's life, but another one might go, I just popped in to say hello.
Yeah.
You know, in my head, is that what it is? Somebody's come back to say hello. I'm okay. You know, this young child is my vessel.
Yeah.
You know? To be back with the family for a bit. So why do they go and... I don't know if you know the answer. Why do people stay? And why do people go? Do you know what I mean? If you're talking about reincarnation, why did
that young boy choose to be his past life person and carry on that past life?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. I've never...
See, I don't know if it's
a story.
A story, or it's true. You know, a true story or a fable or something. But that interests me. Why does it happen for a short amount of time? You know, when people, like you were saying, you said, excuse me, sorry, I'm not comfortable. And then some people are able to say, that's my brother, that's my wife, when they're little, right? They haven't got a lot of vocabulary, but, you know, they know that information, they know places. And then it goes.
Yeah.
So what is it that's overtook?
I don't know.
You know? If you can hear heavy panting, it's not somebody on the other end of the line, it's one of my dogs. Yeah, but you see, that's why I need to have definitive answers for me to believe in anything.
Yeah.
For me to feel it. You know, if you did a past life regression with me and I felt it, maybe I'd have a different...
It might make sense to the things that are happening in your life today.
Because I do question, don't I? I question a lot.
Yeah, and I in the past, I was so close to my children, close that I took them everywhere. I wouldn't leave them.
Yeah.
I think because I carried the guilt of maybe not having a good relationship with my daughter in my past life, that I wanted to be closer to my children in this life.
Or would you say you were just being a good mom?
No, I do think I carried the guilt.
See,
yeah, because I knew.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't have known. Really, you know, I should have just, because it's going to affect if you know.
Well, I hope anybody who's been listening to the end, again, has been questioning what we're saying, has had their own thoughts, has been inspired to leave us a comment, to get us to get in touch, to ask questions on this podcast. Because we don't know anything. This is our cosmic conversation. This is our conversation that you've been privileged to listen to. And this week, we've been sponsored by TRNC.
Animal Rescue Family.
Who are a charity in Northern Cyprus that Tina runs with her daughter.
Yeah, rescuing dogs.
And a lot of maybe past lives there. Who knows? Who knows within the, you know?
Yeah, maybe I'm connected to them.
Exactly. You could have been a wolf. So you said a wolf,
Yeah.
pack leader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if anybody would like to donate to the charity, you can do it through PayPal.
Yeah, which is sosdogs2017@outlook.com.
Thank you ever so much for listening. And we probably haven't covered things that maybe other people would really like us to cover within this subject.
Yeah.
You just got to leave a comment. You got to get in touch with us. And
please, let's be here to heal this world. Let's come back again and again to heal this planet, because that's what we need to do.
Can I come back as a rock star next time?
Yeah, I'll let you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just ditch the guitar.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
And bye from me, Marie, and from my good friend, Tina. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.